morning, everybody. Welcome back to Brent on this September morning. We've had an interesting 5 months, haven't we? And throughout these last 5 months, Brent Council have been working with you and bringing these webinars to you to try and help you navigate your way through the challenges and the difficulties of the last few months. And I'm delighted that this morning, as we head into September, today is a day that most schools go back. So we're getting back into more of the new normal. We've hit September and we're really interested to talk to you and hear from you all this morning about how you're finding the new world and how it's affected your business, what concerns you still have, maybe some anecdotes about what you've learned. I know many businesses have pivoted and changed the way that they're working. We're really interested to hear from anybody who's watching this morning about your experiences that you've had over the last 5 months. Also what your thoughts are about the next 5 months, what that has in store. It is still very much an unknown place. We don't know how it's going to develop, but what we know is that gradually people are coming back into the offices. They are reopening their businesses, and we're really interested to hear from all of you this morning about how you are feeling about that scenario. We'd also love to hear from anybody on your views about Eat Out to Help Out. We know that it's been exceptionally popular. Has that been good for your businesses? What is your thinking about what's going to happen moving forward? We know that many businesses are taking up the initiative and running that themselves. There are other examples of business improvement districts and other organisations that are joining up to try and continue that in some way or other. So really be interested to hear from anyone who's watching this morning about your experience and your thoughts about that moving forward. Now, you can talk to us this morning in a number of ways. As always, you can use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Please do use that to talk to us. Give us a question or maybe comment on something that someone's already said. And you can also chat to us via the chat function. And our panelists this morning will be talking to you via that chat function too, and giving you useful links maybe to programs and support programs that you might want to access. So I have, as usual, a great panel with me here this morning. And I'm going to introduce them to you. I've got John McNamara, who is a business advisor at Newable. Newable are the agency that are working alongside Brent for Business, offering business support, a free service to businesses, and many of you will have already accessed, hopefully, that service via Newable. But also, importantly, Newable are also the agency behind the Mayor of London's Business Growth Hub. And that free service where businesses can go to the hub and get all sorts of help, guidance and information from the business advisors that are based there. So John will be talking to us a little bit more about that later. Also with me this morning is Tristan Cropley. Tristan is from Brent Works. Hopefully you all know what Brent Works is. It's the job brokerage service that is another free service run by Brent Council, and sadly at this time many people are in the need of looking for a new job or wanting new opportunities, and Tristan can talk to us about how you can access that service, how that might be able to help you, and also talk a little bit about some of the schemes that we're waiting to hear about in relation to the DWP initiatives that we are waiting more information from as businesses. Also with us this morning, having a slight difficulty with her connection, is Zarka Zita. Zarka is also from Brent Council, and Zarka is responsible for Brent Start. Now, Brent Start is the employment skills team based at the council. Again, another free service. If you are looking as a resident to be upskilled, to get some training, to think about how you might be able to retrain for a new career, then you can do that via Brent Start, and Zarka will be talking to us about that and helping you to understand exactly how that would help you and your business. And then also with us we have Anna Denneman. Anna is very much on the coalface of out there on the streets. She is a town centre manager for Church End and Neasden, and we've said it before on these webinars how great it is that Brent does have a really good cohort of town centre managers. Many local authorities haven't been able to sustain that service, but certainly during COVID, having that ability for there to be someone on the high street that is there for the businesses, I'm sure has been really important, and we'll be inviting Anna Anna to talk to us a little bit about what she's finding out from all of you this morning. Now, we do have many of you watching us this morning, so just to remind you all, please do talk to us. We're here to help you, and if there is a particular thing that's on your mind about your business or the situation and how maybe you might need some help, please do ask that via the Q&A function this morning. We're also hoping that Councillor Tatler will join us this morning to tell us exactly where the council is in terms of their grant funding that's available and additional support that we might be able to access. But for now, I'm going to kick off by going over to John McNamara from Newable. John, tell us a little bit about what you're seeing at the moment from businesses, what their needs are currently.
Okay. A lot of inquiries at the moment around financial support. Obviously, we've had quite a lot of government assistance in terms of business bounce back loans, job retention scheme. There's a new technology grant, which we had some inquiries about on the last webinar. We've had some information that's an update to that in terms of, we know that the grants are up to £5,000. There's allocations for London. There will be some webinars in the next month or so. We're hoping to see payments made in October. If people are interested, I'll drop my details in the chat. That program's being managed by the London Growth Hub, which Newable run. The problem is that if you contact the London Growth Hub directly, most of the advisors are fully booked for the next 6 weeks. So if I can assist directly, I'll put my details in the chat. I work with a range of businesses across different sectors. Some are growing, some are stalling, some are in recovery. So whatever your needs are, I have a team of advisors available to help you. All the advice is confidential, it's free of charge. If you've got questions or you're unsure about what your options are, that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you. So please do get in touch. I'll put my details in the chat. And if you've got any questions, let me know.
Can I just ask about that technology grant?
Yeah.
So the word technology, you know, most businesses would think that they're not a technology business, but is it actually about digital? Is it a grant that's actually readily available for most businesses if they're working sort of in a digital capacity in some form? Is there any more information about that?
Yes, so it isn't necessarily a grant specifically for technology businesses. It's a grant which can be used for either buying some sort of technology for your business. So that would generally apply to all businesses, and also services around supporting. It can't be used specifically for working capital. So for example, it can't be used to pay yourself wages, but it is designed to help your business to pivot. And if that pivoting is online, which for most businesses it will be, then that's the whole purpose of the grant. Your business has to be able to survive COVID. Now, I know that's subject to interpretation, but the whole purpose of the grant is to help businesses to continue to trade and survive. The only stipulations are that you have to be an SME, so you have to have less than 250 staff, and you have to have been trading since the 1st of March 2019. But other than that, there isn't a great deal of criteria that has to be met. And to go back to your point, as long as the expenditure is technology related, then it should be eligible.
So in fact, if you were a business that has decided that you need to invest more into your online website, and actually that's a cost that you could attribute to this grant, then that would be, which would apply to most businesses who at this moment probably do need to be thinking about whether they've got the best website and all the technology, e-commerce, whatever it might be. Is that a grant that's open right now?
It's a grant that's open for application, but
Okay.
in terms of where we're at is that they're taking kind of contact details those contact details are then put onto a database for us to then be able to run webinars. At the moment, we don't have the date for the webinars, and we don't have further information about who will actually be giving out the grants. So the London Growth Hub, if you like, is managing the process, but we don't as yet know whether we will be giving the grant out or whether that will be a third-party organisation. So we do have some information, but there's still further information to be confirmed.
That's really helpful, and it's good to hear that there's still some money out there that can be accessed fairly easily by the sound of it. So would you be able to pop a link or something in? How do people actually apply for that, or at least put their names forward as being potential? That would be really, really helpful. So thanks very much for that. Anna, coming to you, in terms of what you're seeing in your high streets and more widely across the borough, interested to know, how retail businesses, and particularly given the Eat Out to Help Out scheme, what are you seeing at the moment in terms of business needs?
Church End and Easton are very different from each other, and they're very different from many other town centres in Brent, Church End in particular. So they're both relatively small town centres, and what I hear from businesses on the ground is that things are only beginning to get busier again, with some of them, in particular the barbers, and which there are quite a few, and beauticians and those kinds of businesses, and generally it is still quite quiet. But I think that it appears to be picking up a little bit now. With regards to the Eat Out to Help Out, there are only a handful of restaurants as such, and it doesn't apply to the usual takeaways. So there is some take up, but it's not like in some of the other town centres where we've got lots and lots of restaurants, like in Ealing Road and in Wilson Green, for example. But those who have signed up to the scheme are reporting that it has made a difference. I haven't been able to speak with them this week yet to find out what their current verdict is, and whether any one of them want to continue it of their own grounds, basically. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay, so in terms of the local high streets, there's obviously been a lot of talk about how this could see the revitalisation of local high streets, people choosing to shop more locally rather than going into the big places. Are you seeing evidence of that? And as the schools go back now, I would imagine that there would be a hope that would help to encourage more trade into those local high streets.
Yes, to some extent that is true. There's some evidence that local people stay more local because they don't want to get on the bus to go somewhere else. That is probably more the case for Church End than for Neaston. There are one or two new shops, like a greengrocer in Church End, for example, and there's a new takeaway shop that looks very good in Church End as well. And in Neaston, there are one or two new openings as well. Sadly, there's some closures too. I do think that there is some pickup, but it depends on which kind of business you speak with. So in some cases, people are still very cautious with going out, still limiting themselves in their interaction with the outside world. And in other cases, yes, people have reported that they're seeing some new people.
Okay. I've got a question that's come in actually, which you might not be able to answer, but we can certainly get an answer back if you don't know the answer. But it's around free parking, and the question is there a plan to provide 1 hour free parking in Brent, given that less people are willing to use public transport? Do you know, is that the case in your high streets? Is there any free parking facility?
Well, the first 20 minutes are free anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And to my knowledge, that is the case in most of the high streets, if not all of the high streets and town centres. I don't know whether there are any plans to make it free for the first hour.
Mm-hmm.
The council, and along with other boroughs across London and across the country, are actually trying to support walking and cycling more. Particularly because people are less willing to use public transport. So there are some measures in place to support that, and more are being developed as we speak, because we really want to make sure that people don't default back into their cars, because if the car drives a recovery, then we're all going to get stuck on the streets again. And that's not good for anyone either, with regards to getting from A to B, and with regards to air quality and
it's a fine balance, isn't it? There's so many different things that have to be sort of balanced, and from a council perspective, obviously every local authority has spent an awful lot more money than they've probably got because of COVID-19, and actually do need those parking fees to try and help them to survive. So it is I suppose about getting that balance right. But if Councillor Tatler comes on, we can certainly ask that question more directly, and if she doesn't, then we can get an answer to that question moving forward. Tristan, hello and welcome. Tristan, you have just popped something into the chat for everybody around the DWP update. Do you want to tell us a bit about that, and also tell us a little bit about your role at the council?
Yes, thank you. Morning, everybody, and thank you for the invitation to join the panel. So my name is Tristan Cropley, and I manage Brentworks. Brentworks is part of Brent Council. It's a free service to employers and also to the residents of Brent. We differ in the sense of we're not a job centre, so as long as you're a Brent resident, we can support you into work. And a lot of the people that we have registered with us are actually in work, and they're either looking to change jobs or progress within their career. And we partner with Brent Star and the colleges to support people. I've popped it in the group, the link to the Kickstarter programme. So this is the government's programme to support people who are unemployed, and they're going to pay employers up to 25 hours national minimum wage to take people on. And we've been waiting for the detail for nearly 2 months, and it came out just now, so I thought I'd pop it straight in the group. Right. So it's hot off the press. Feel free to read it. I mean, what we're going to do over the next couple of days, we've already got a meeting booked for this afternoon, is we're going to have a kind of a Brent Council's response to it, because there's a few things in there and that you might look at and think, am I eligible for it? How would that work? Am I big enough to access that kind of fund? So we're going to put together a kind of consortium plan. So if you're a big enough business to take on your own, that's fine. If you need to partner up, then it may be that the council becomes the kind of lead employer, and we support you with that. So have a read of it, but don't be put off by it, because we will have a Brent response to it. What we do at Brentworks.
Tristan, can I just ask, just for those, can you just sort of give a brief overview of what the sort of the main point of that is, and who it might be applicable to?
Okay, so the Kickstarter is for 16 to 25-year-olds who are unemployed, claiming universal credit. And what you can do is you can take somebody on for up to 6 months and pay them national minimum wage. You may want to pay them more, but the government will fund you to pay them national minimum wage for 25 hours a week. Now, some employers will take a person and employ them for 25 hours a week and pay them national minimum wage. And that's absolutely fine. Others will give them more hours. Some may even top up their salary. And obviously, we would always encourage that. But as a basis, you will get somebody 16 to 25. It may be that it's their first job, or it may be that they fell out of employment due to COVID, or any other reason. And for 6 months, their salary will be paid by the government to you as a business. And after 6 months, it's up to you. You're under no obligation to then take that person on. There's also some startup costs. So if you need to buy any particular equipment to make your office or business more sort of COVID compliant because you're getting additional staff, it might be that you need to train the person, buy equipment, laptops, phones, etc. There is a £1,200 grant that's you don't have to pay back to get your business ready for that. So all the information is on the system. But as I said, we'll break it down and we'll do a Brent response. So who the lead person will be for it for the borough, if you're interested, and we can help you with the paperwork, because as you can imagine with the government, it's longer than it potentially needs to be. But we'll support you with that. The other thing that they're offering is for apprentices. So if you take an apprentice on who is 16 to 24, you get £2,500 grant. And if you take on an apprentice who's 25 plus, you get £1,000 grant. So that's to kind of help with setup costs. It might be the first month's salary, etc. So there are some government schemes that have gone live from today that you can apply for to support your business. And as I said, Brent will put together a response to this and send it out to businesses across the borough.
Right. I mean, that sounds really positive. A great way to help somebody gain some more experience, but also help businesses that are struggling. And I know back in the old days, when I think it was called Future Jobs Fund, we took on a couple of people and it worked really well for them and us. So that's a really positive scheme. So tell us a little bit more about other things that you're involved with that would be of interest.
So Brentworks has over 4,000 Brent residents registered on our books. We support all businesses in Brent. We do work with businesses outside of Brent, but our main work is with businesses in Brent and residents in Brent. What we've noticed since COVID is that our register has gone through the roof. So we've registered an additional 700 people in the last 4 months. Of a register of 4,000, so you can see the percentage is a big increase. We'd normally register between sort of 40 and 50 a month, and we were registering 200s. So more people are asking for support. Some businesses, sadly, were making redundancies. Some people being furloughed, and some were being furloughed but unpaid furlough, which was a real concern. So they started a job in March, and then the cut-off was, say, the 28th of February. Which meant that they were furloughed, but they weren't getting paid, so then they were looking for alternative jobs. We normally work across all sectors, but as you can imagine with what's happened, some sectors have been more adversely hit than others. So at Wembley Park, it's a huge hospitality area. Wembley Stadium, Box Park, London Designer Outlet, all closed overnight. Yeah. And have slowly come back, but a lot of their staff are still part furloughed until October. So the hospitality and retail sectors were kind of decimated, but other areas saw a lot of growth, as you can imagine. Care. So we did a lot of work with other London boroughs on an initiative called Proud to Care. So what we were looking at was people that lived in the local area wanting to work in care, but we didn't want them to travel, and they didn't want to travel. So there was a central hub through Camden. If anybody said they were interested in care, then they'd be given to their local borough and we would place them into care roles. And also we ran some care webinars and campaigns to get people into care roles. And what we found was a lot of people had transferable skills. So they'd never worked in care, but they wanted to, and they felt compelled to because of what was happening. Yeah. They had customer service skills or hospitality, and those skills were transferable to work in care. So care was a kind of a growth area, as well as construction. So residential construction stopped, but commercial construction continued. For example, there's an Amazon just been built in the borough of Brent. So that had to continue because it was government business critical. And also anything where it needed logistics or manufacturing, so warehousing, driving, and obviously the big food retailers, so things like Ocado, etc. I mean, the first weekend of the outbreak, the Ocado in Brent had 3,000 people apply to work there. Yeah. So it was huge. So supporting businesses with their employment and kind of changing the way that we work as well. So there were work out. I mean, our jobs are now at, say, 30% of what they would be for this time of year. Normally, this is quite a growth time with summer vacancies. students that are working through the holidays, etc. That's all stopped. April's normally a big time for apprenticeships, but that had stopped. So we've kind of had to condense the work that we've done. So September, we've got a large number of apprenticeships starting, and that might seem odd. However, for colleges and also independent training providers, it's their livelihood, it's their bread and butter. So they're going to register apprentices in September, and it might be a lot of the work they do until the new year is online, and all their assessments and still paid, but they don't actually go into the workplace until January. So we've been told by colleges, training providers and employers that September and January are the two sort of big intakes for apprentices. So there's a kind of a recruitment lag, as it were, between when we get the vacancies and when the starts are. So normally it'd be sort of a 2-week turnaround, and now it's sort of a 2-month turnaround, because those businesses aren't necessarily ready for people to start yet, or they're not ready for them to start going into apprenticeships.
Yeah.
The other thing that we've done is we've set up a new Brentworks portal, which will go live on the 14th of September. Now, this portal has all our vacancies, both the council jobs and the external jobs and apprenticeships. And there's also areas for employers, training providers and the public to register. So you can register as an employer or as a provider of a service. You have your own area. You can post on there jobs, apprenticeships, events, news, anything you want the people of Brent to know about. But also our candidates and your potential employees can register on there. They can upload their CV and they can get alerts. So that will support people looking for work. So it's basically making us a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week service. And the feedback that we've had so far on the tests is that everybody really likes it. So we'll be sending that link around probably next week, so that yourselves on this call and people watching it can actually start putting on their content. Because what we'd like is when it goes live, for there to be information on there, not just Brentworks information, but partner information, any events, news, recruitment drives, anything that you want the people of Brent to know. So that will go live on the 14th of September. And finally, just some good news. So recruitment hasn't stopped. So in the last 3 months, we have placed 28 people into jobs, and 7 people into apprenticeships. And we even had a young man who actually contracted COVID the week after he'd been told he'd been successful in a job. The employer kept the job open for him. He recovered, and now he is an apprentice level 4 commie chef. So that was a good news story for him. It's changed. It's a very different recruitment world at the minute, but Brent is still kind of open for business, and that's kind of the message that we want to get across.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really important message. There is a lot of support and help out there. It doesn't, all help, and there are sadly some businesses and individuals who are still going to suffer. But there is, obviously the great service that you're able to offer as well. And it's really good to hear some positive news, isn't it? I think the more we can hear about success stories, the better it will make us all feel, and hopefully motivate and encourage others to do the same. So thanks for that, and we'll look forward to getting those updates, and particularly that link to that new website, which sounds great. I'm going to invite Zaka to come into the call, because Zaka, you are very much in a similar position in that you are able to help, and anybody in the borough, I believe, can benefit from Brent Start. So tell us a little bit about Brent Start.
Yeah, hi there. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Zaka Sethi. I'm the Employment Pathways Lead at Brent Start. We're part of the Employment Skills and Enterprise team of Brent Council. So we're a local community education college, and we provide training in basic skills, English, maths and digital skills within the borough to local residents and businesses as well. We have a range of other community learning courses.
Oh, I think we might have lost Zaka. Zaka's having trouble with her connection. Zaka, if you can hear us, it might be worth you going to sound only. But we'll wait for her. We'll wait for her to come back. There is a request from somebody. Oh, so Zaka, we've just got you back. We did lose you.
Yeah, unfortunately, my connection is not so good today.
Do you want to take down your video and just talk to us off video, and then we can at least hear you? That would be helpful. So I think we missed most of that. So
okay, no problem at all. Technology, eh? And we're trying to offer it as well, yeah. So what we do is we offer, so we're part of the Employment Skills and Enterprise team at Brent Council. We're the local community college. We offer a range of training around basic skills, which includes your English, maths and digital skills. We also offer a range of courses within the community. So things like hairdressing and flower arranging. So people have actually gone into business. You know, we've offered things like cake decorating. So all these smaller courses, people have actually gone in and opened up their own businesses. We've had one open up down in Harlesden as well. People have opened up their own small businesses as well. We have noticed over the last couple of months, given the current situation, that a lot of the demand has been around digital skills. So we do offer support in providing a range of digital skills. There's a lot of demand for businesses wanting to go online. So we do offer, you know, bespoke training around social media, how to get onto get online, creating websites, and even giving individuals the basic skills that they need, you know, to upskill themselves within digital skills as well. We have in the past, we've launched a business brochure that was sent out. Links were sent out to local businesses and contacts, which kind of like lists all the training that we can provide to local businesses. And that also includes things like working in a team, building up confidence, a range of digital skills. We also have online food safety as well available. So I can see, you know, as the restaurants start to open up, maybe companies want to, you know, restaurants and small businesses want to train up their staff within food safety as well. So we have a range. I can put the link up for the brochure that's available on our website. And if people are interested, businesses are interested, they can actually contact me directly and let us know, you know, what type of training that they would require. Going forward, we are kind of like thinking of setting up small free tasters for businesses to come along to if they wanted to, just to have an initial chat.
We might have lost Sarka again. I think we might have lost her altogether. Okay, we'll come back to Sarka in a minute. I mean, I think again the message out there for everybody is that you know, there is this support, and if you're a resident, you may well also be running your own business, or you might be considering running your own business as a new opportunity. And so you can actually go and talk to Sarka and her team about what sort of training you might need. And I'm sure she can help you more from there. I'm going to come back to Anna, if I may. Anna, I'm just really interested to hear, you know, what the feelings are that are coming out of the businesses that you've got. Many of them, I'm sure, have accessed their loans and have that support. But as we're now moving into September, you know, what are you seeing in terms of maybe businesses that are still pivoting? You mentioned that some have closed, great that some have opened, but there are obviously more opportunities to do that in the high streets. Can you just give us a bit of a feel for that?
Yeah, so yeah, as I said, there are some new people coming into my two town centres. Well, not my town, the next that I manage, and that's really good to see. Yeah, there's a new clothing shop, for example, opening up in Easton very soon. Yeah, I'm really hoping that can make a big difference. And there are others existing business owners who are thinking of new ways of creating an income. So we were in discussion with them whether that's going to be possible or not, because sometimes it's a change of use, and sometimes it's a sort of marked change of what is there at the moment. I can't really go into details at the moment because it's a particular case, but the businesses are trying to find ways of generating an income and keeping their employees through different means. Sadly, as I said, some had to close, or some still haven't opened. Many are still operating reduced opening hours, but I think we see that up and down the country. That's the case for many businesses in all kinds of sectors. And as you said, once now that the schools are reopened, we obviously will see more school children on the streets again that were sort of cooped up at home for months on end, really. And that could bring a difference as well, especially to some of the hospitality sector businesses, the takeaways and so on. But they're only starting today and tomorrow, so we'll have to see how that pans out, and what the situation in the schools is going to be over the coming weeks.
Okay, that's really helpful, thank you. I'm interested also in how people are dealing with social distancing. Is it working in the local high streets, both from a business perspective, but also from a shopper perspective? I know there's examples of good and bad, but how have you seen that working in your high streets?
It's a very mixed picture, very mixed. So in some businesses, in retailers as well as in the hospitality sector, is working well. And people are really making a big effort to keep things safe, reminding their customers of it, and the customers themselves are acting very responsibly. But I must say in some areas or in some businesses, that's not necessarily the case. So it depends on how the business is run, I think, and it depends on the customers as well. It's very, very varied.
Definitely a joint approach, isn't it? Everyone has to do their bit to make it work. We've just actually launched a survey for those that are watching. On a scale of 1 to 10, how challenging have you found implemented these COVID secure guidelines? We're interested to hear from those that are watching this morning. If you could just take a few minutes just to tell us how easy you found that. And as Anna was just saying, some people are perhaps implementing it better than others. But generally, I think people are getting used to the idea, and everyone, as I say, has to do their bit to make sure that they're doing that. So if I can ask a few people to fill that in. Now, I'm hoping that we can hear back from Zarka. And Zarka, there is actually a question that somebody's put into the Q&A this morning. And the question is that this person supports domiciliary care providers who employ large numbers of staff who are semi-illiterate. They're required to complete records, and that's not that straightforward. She's wondering if there's funding to improve how care workers' literary skills, including numeracy. Is that something that this person could come and talk to you about, Zarka?
Most definitely. We definitely provide a range of literacy and numeracy courses and training, and that's definitely an area that we can help. So yeah, they can directly contact me and we can support that. Just on a note for that, I was actually, because of my connections not so good, I was actually typing in that we actually...
We've lost you again. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Every time I talk, it's freezing up. But the sector-based work academies, I'm going to put it into the chat so everybody can have a read of what they are. But it's in partnership with Brent Works. But they're really popular. We used to run them a couple of years ago, and they've actually made a comeback. So short and sharp training to help people get back into work with particular sector-based. So we've got a case sector-based coming up quite soon. I'll put the details in the chat just in case as I'm talking and it freezes again. And if anyone's interested, they can get in touch with me directly, and I'll put my contact details in the chat as well.
I mean, it sounds pretty much like you can be quite flexible around what support you offer, depending on what the needs are. Is that the case? And
Definitely. I mean, obviously we're actually open. We've opened yesterday, so we are in the process of carrying out initial assessments and enrollments. So as we speak, we are, people can come into our centre, and we are running them in terms of COVID social distancing. So we've got everything available there. So we're doing everything under the guidance of the government. So yeah, people can come in, have a chat with us. We can guide them what courses would be suitable for them. And yeah, as you were saying, we can do bespoke training as well.
And what is the difference between what you're offering to maybe what you might get if you went to an outside college? Is it a complimentary service?
I think we've got lots of contacts with the local organisations, and especially working with Brent Works. So one of the sector-based work academies that's coming up, with the support from Tristan, we've got employers on board as well. We've got about 3 or 4 employers on board, at the end of which they're giving us guaranteed interviews for some of the vacancies that are opening up. So okay. We've got quite a few incentives. We've got things like qualifications at the end of it, digital skills, help with interview skills. We've got work experience available as well with the employers before they go on to a work placement. Work experience available before the guaranteed interview. And in terms of things like they would need a disclosure check as well. So Brent Start would support that as well for clients. So we will support that process and application.
I'm going to invite Tristan to come back in. You've had a few mentions there, and I'm sure you can provide a bit more of an update in terms of how what Brent Works does complements what Zarka's talking about.
Yeah, so what we do in partnership with Brent Start is that we will speak to the businesses and make sure that there are actual vacancies and work experience available. So what these sector-based work academies, these pre-employment training courses involve are sort of 3 elements. So one is a training course, and it's accredited. One is work experience, so they get some on-the-job experience. And then at the end, there's a guaranteed job interview, but not necessarily a guaranteed job. But what we want to make sure is that there are actual vacancies there. So candidates will come through the programme, they'll be screened for their educational needs, their employability needs and support. They'll do some training which is towards what they're doing. So it could be a level 1 or 2 in healthcare, it could be retail, it could be hospitality, it could be construction. We've run these on different things. The model is quite robust and we can do it in any different sector. And then it involves anything between a day and 2 weeks worth of work experience, depending on the sector and the needs of the business. And then at the end, if people have completed the course, their attendance is good, attitude, everything that we would expect, then we would ask those employers to interview our candidates, either take them on if they felt that they wanted to take them on, and if they didn't, then at least provide feedback so that when they went for their next job, they were more job ready because they have a CV, they've had a proper interview, they've had work experience, and they can use that to go into work. And what we found is that the quality is good. It's almost like the longest, I always joke, it's the longest interview they'll ever have, because they'll go through several different hoops. And what we do is, with ourselves and Brent Start, is we speak to employers about their recruitment criteria and we match it. So what we do is we make sure that if they want particular skills and personality traits or things that they're looking for in a person, we make sure that that's what we look for in a candidate. And then we kind of make them more sort of job ready over 6 weeks. They get used to attending classes, they get used to work with different people, they get a qualification that shows that they've got an interest, they go to work experience, and then it's almost a try before you buy. So when we've run them previously, we've had employers in sort of like the last week say, oh, I know who I want, and then they name the person rather than saying, oh, go on, then I'll say 1 or 2. They're actually naming the people because they've had them in their business, they really like them. and they can't wait for them to start. And I've had some say, can they start next week? And it's like, no, they've got to finish their course, or they won't get their certificate. So it's a really good sort of program for both the candidate as an introduction to the sector and the employer as a kind of a try before you buy, but knowing that what you're getting is somebody. And if they've been doing a course for 6 weeks and they're really keen and interested and turn up on time and have all the right attitudes, then they're more likely to stay with that employer rather than somebody that they interview in the traditional sense, and maybe they're a week and then not like the role and then drop out of the role. So it's a good way of making sure that we find you the right candidates that have got the right skills that actually will sustain and will be there for 6 months, 12 months, many years ahead, rather than somebody that isn't. So it's a really successful program. We can do it in any sector, and it's business led. So we'll never put a sector-based work academy on and then expect jobs at the end. We always work backwards. So we'll speak to employers and say, what jobs have you got in the next 3 to 6 months? This is a program that we've got. Would you like to be involved? And some employers actually like to be involved in the design of it. So they'll say, well, actually, say it's hospitality. We do silver service. Can you add that as a module? Or we did one with M&S previously, and they wanted IT as a module because some businesses will say nothing's ever out of stock. So we'll either deliver it to your house, we'll deliver it here, we'll tell you that it's a different store. So they wanted all their retail assistants to know how to use iPads. So they spent a day doing that. So we can adapt it completely, and it's almost like a blank canvas. As long as there's work experience, training, and a job interview, we can change the modules as much as we need to. And there is, as Zarka said, there's a real focus on digital skills as well, because it doesn't matter whether you're working in a warehouse or a shop or working in an office. You need those IT skills now. It's like we all do for banking and interacting, and even more so now we're all working from home. So
yeah, I mean, if you know, before up until 5 months ago, who thought we'd all been spending our lives talking a PC like this and conducting our business in little digital squares? We'd never thought it was possible, but the reality is we are all now doing it. But for many, there's a whole new world out there that needs to be explored. So it sounds great that you can actually bespoke stuff. And I guess the message very much is to contact you, talk about what your business needs might be, and then there's probably a way that you can do that support. Coming over to you, John, on this whole subject, because this is, again, I'm sure where you can help. You are a free service. If people come to you, you can then signpost and point them in the right direction. There is a question from someone who missed the first 10 minutes, but he's interested in getting funding to run online training and blending training, improving his website. He also needs to rent a room to facilitate face-to-face training and buy some training equipment. So going back to this 5K grant, that presumably some of that would be applicable to, but not all of it by the sounds of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, I'm sorry I can't actually provide a link. It looks like the link has actually been taken down for some reason on the London Growth Hub, and I suspect due to the show inquiries. So if anyone's interested, my details are in the chat. They can contact me directly. Yes, the grant can be used for a variety of different costs, specifically to help businesses to pivot online. So technology costs to host a website, to train yourself in various skills, that would all be eligible expenditure. So businesses should take advantage. And just to kind of follow up from the inquiry that you missed the first 10 minutes, essentially, if you look at today's webinar, you can see there's a huge amount of support. I found out things this morning from Tristan about various types of support that are available that I didn't know about. So there's a huge amount of support available for businesses. Noble exists to support businesses really of any size in any sector with any problem. We have a range of about 80 advisors. So whether you're trying to recover your business, whether you're looking to sell product overseas, whether you're looking to access an innovation grant, there's such a wide variety of support that's available. And it's incumbent upon all businesses really to make inquiries to find out what support is available. And the key starting point is knowing who to go to. So you've seen from this morning, Tristan, Zaka, Anna, there's various people on the ground. I've got, for example, a attendee who's on the call I've just seen, a lovely lady by the name of Sylvia. She came through as town centre manager as an example on the last webinar. I worked with Sylvia, and it looks like that support will result in a discretionary rates relief grant. Now, what happened in her case was that she applied, she didn't fill out the correct paperwork in the right way. Through my support and the support of the town centre manager, we were able to basically get her a discretionary rates grant. Now, that is an example of where if you don't access the right people and the right support, you don't get the right outcome. So there's a wide variety of people inside Brent, inside Nurble, and organisations like Tristan's and Zaka's. Please do take advantage, because often the inquiries I get are from people that need the support, need financial support, but don't know where to get it. So please do get in touch with all of us, because we're here to help you, and it's all free and it's confidential.
That's great. And Sylvia's actually watching us this morning, and that's a really good example. I think one of the things that's come out of this webinar series, but more generally, I think through this whole COVID time, is the need for people to communicate more and to talk more, and you just can't get enough of it, because like you, John, I mean, we are hosting a number of these webinars, you know, every week, and every time I host a webinar I learn something else, so there is just a constantly changing scenario, and the only way you'll keep on top of that is to keep connected, keep talking, keep communicating, and talk to people like our panelists this morning to find out, you know, exactly what the latest information is. And I know that, you know, we in the olden days, as I now call them, back in March, but in the olden days, you know, we were all very good at doing networking in the physical sense of the word. And as businesses, we'd all be, you know, more than happy to tip up to a networking breakfast or a lunch or whatever. But actually, we're all now having to do this online, and it is working very effectively. Sylvia is here, and I just wondered whether she would like to come into the call this morning, and I was going to invite her in just because it would be good to hear from her. I'm just trying to work out how I do that, actually. Sylvia, if you're there and you want to come in, do you want to just raise a hand and I can invite you in? Oh, here we go. Hi, Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia. Good to see you. Tell us a little bit about your experience and what sort of business is it that you run?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, brilliant. Can you also see me? I can't see myself. I can't hear me.
I can see a photo of you, but that's fine.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Oh, hello. Good morning, everyone. It's been such a great opportunity to hear all what you guys are telling us. Thank you so much for all the information. Yes, I've been in contact with John, who's been wonderful. He's been helping me so much, give me all the insights of what I should do. And we had a one-to-one, didn't we, John? And he put me in the right track, what I should do. I did apply for the 5K grant from Brent, and I'm very anxious because they asked me for loads of documentations, which I did send to them. And it's been a few weeks now. I haven't heard from them yet. So I then sent another email asking, any news? Did you see my documentation? Is it all fine? And the answer I got was that, yeah, we still look into it. We'll see if you'll be entitled or not. So it seems to be quite, but I do understand, because I suppose there's so many people applying for grants. So I totally understand. It's only when you feel like, oh my goodness, am I going to get it or not? Can I count on it? Is there anything I should have done more, or, you know, but I suppose we are on the same boat. So I suppose it's the same for most people, but I'm still hoping I'll get something. I run sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say, just tell me quickly about your business. What type of business is it?
I run a community school, a language school. We are a Brazilian community, which is the second largest in Brent. We teach children culture, language, and other subjects on Saturdays in Brent in Queen's Park. We've been running for 11 years, and now we are facing a very, very difficult situation where the families cannot afford to carry on paying for the fees. So this is where we are, and we lost more than half of our pupils, and we pay a very high rent. And of course, and we charge very little fee for the parents, but they still cannot. There's mixed feelings about coming to the school, about being able to afford the fees. So that's where we are right now.
Difficult times, but obviously connecting with John and accessing some of the support that's out there has obviously been invaluable. So thank you so much for coming on the call.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm still here. Thank you very much.
It will encourage others. I think, you know, the key message is to communicate, do access this wealth of advice and support that's there. Unfortunately, no one has a magic wand. We can't just wave a magic wand and make it all right, but we can help in terms of pointing you in the right direction, supporting you, and maybe giving you some ideas and inspiration about how you might be able to move forward. I also want to just remind everybody that we do have access to these videos after today. So all of these webinars are available on the Brent for Business website, and we'll circulate that link to everybody after this, when this webinar finishes. Zaki, you're back with us visually. Let's give you one more last chance. In the last closing minutes, do you just want to just give us one sort of closing comment from you, and then I'll just come around to the rest of people. One last bit of advice this morning.
Well, I'd just like to say that, as I said, we're open for business now. We're taking on new learners. I've put my details in the chat, so please do contact me if you want to talk about specific training for yourselves or for your staff, and then we can talk from there and take it from there.
That's great, and there won't be those technology problems, I'm sure.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah. Over to you, Anna. A few last words from you about what you think the next few months might hold, and any advice? Just unmuting yourself. Yep.
Yeah.
Hi.
So, right. So I think it's really important that we all keep positive, try and keep safe, because unless we keep safe, things could get really difficult again. I think that's really crucial. We all need to keep on doing what we're doing and try and find new ways of attracting customers, keep them interested, serve them in the way that they need it, need us to. Hopefully we can ride through this as best we can.
That's great, thank you. And I think, you know, anybody that's in a local high street, keep communicating with each other. I know there's some great examples of collectives that have formed in high streets to work together on all manner of subjects, even, you know, getting some local delivery services in operation for the people that want to walk or cycle. How could they actually get their deliveries to save them having to lug their shopping back? So lots of really good stuff out there that's happening. So keep talking to everybody. Tristan, last few words from you.
Just to kind of echo what everybody said, Brent is open for business. It might be done slightly differently than what we would normally do, but it's definitely open for business. If you need any support, just reach out, and if we don't know the answer, then we'll know somebody that does, and we can put you in touch. So don't feel that you're on your own. It's a bit difficult, particularly if you are working from home or you're working with limited access to your team or your business. But if you need support, reach out to one of us, and if we don't know the answer, then we'll put you in touch with somebody that does.
Right, thank you for that. And final few words from you, John.
Yeah, just to echo Tristan's comments, do get in contact. We're here to help you. So the support is available. You need the support. Please get in touch.
Brilliant. Well, thank you to all of you for your input this morning. As always, I think it's been really interesting and valuable, and I think just reinforces that message that there is support out there. Brent is open for business, and if you're a business or a resident in Brent, make sure you talk to all these people, and if they can't help, they can certainly put you in touch with somebody that can. So thank you to everybody that has watched this morning. You are able to access this video, as I say, and after this, anyone that's watching will be sent a post link information sheet, which will give you all these links, plus the link to be able to watch this video back. So do please share this with others as well, because we can all do our bit to encourage others as well. And finally, we are coming back. We'll be back here in a few weeks' time, so keep an eye out for your emails. And if there's a particular subject that you are interested or concerned about that you would like this panel to debate, then do please engage with us on that as well. It's really important that we do tackle the things that are of paramount importance to those of you that are in business and continuing to be in business as we move forward. So thank you to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Stay safe. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.